Hello children, hope you all are safe and fine. Back to English literature class. Today I am going to deal with the chapter 6. This is Jody's Fawn, written by Marjorie Kinnan Rowling. Do you like animals? Have you ever thought about the safety of young animals in the forest? Will it be safe without its mother? If not, what will happen to it? Here in this chapter, we have a small young boy thinking about the young animal which was left alone in the forest without its mother. Coming to author, Marjorie Kinnan Rowling was an American author born on 8th August 1896 in Washington, D.C., who lived in rural Florida and wrote novels with rural themes and settings. Her best known work, The Yearling, won a Pulitzer Prize for fiction in 1939 and was later made into a movie of the same name. She died on 14th December 1953 in Florida. First, let me introduce the characters of this lesson. Jody, a small young boy. Extra Baxter, also known as Penny in the story. He is the father of Jody. Then we have Ora Baxter, is the mother of Jody. Doc Wilson, who was treating Jody's father. Millville was an acquaintance to Baxter's family. He helped Jody in finding the fawn by giving him a ride on his horse into the forest. Coming to the outline of the story, Jody was a small, brave and sensitive boy. He was with his father when his father was bitten by a rattlesnake. His father quickly killed a doe and used its heart and liver to draw out the snake's poison. Jody was happy to see that his father got a new life, but at the same time he was worried for the little fawn who was left alone without its mother. He wanted to bring back the fawn. He requested his father to allow him to go to the forest to find the fawn. He told him that he did not need to drink milk because he was now a big boy. He would give the milk to the fawn. He also said that it was ungrateful to leave the fawn to starve. His father was in fix. He couldn't say no to his son and finally allowed him to go to forest to find the fawn. And as he finds the fawn, he brings it to his house and rears it up very lovingly. Let's read the lesson now. This is Jody's Fawn, written by Marjorie Kinnan Rowling. Before you read, often instead of rushing to the doctor to treat a small cut or burn, we find quick and effective cures using things available at home. Can you think of some such home remedies for a cut on your knee, a burn on your arm, a bee sting? In the story, Jody's father had been bitten by a rattlesnake. He quickly kills a doe and uses its heart and liver to draw out the poison. Jody wonders what will happen to the little fawn left without a mother. See, in this paragraph you can underline rattlesnake. It is a kind of poisonous snake. Underline doe means female deer. Next, underline drawn out, which means remove. The next one, underline fawn, which means Dee's baby. In the story, Jody's father, Mr. Penny Baxter, was bitten by a rattlesnake, a snake which is very poisonous. To remove the poison from his body, he quickly kills a doe a female deer and uses its heart and liver to cure himself. As they killed the doe in jungle, its fawn was left alone. Fawn, which means a baby deer. Although this saved his life, and they all came back home. But Jody was wondering about the little deer which was left all alone in the forest without his mother deer. Jody allowed his thoughts to drift back to the fawn. He could not keep it out of his mind. He had held it in his dreams in his arms. He slipped from the table and went to his father's bedside. Penny lay at rest. His eyes were open and clear, but the pupils were still dark and dilated. Jody said, "How are you feeling, Pa?" "Just fine, son. Old Death has gone thriving elsewhere." "But wasn't it a close shave?" "I agree," Penny said. "I'm proud of you, boy. The way you kept your head and did what was needed." Underline drift back, which means go back to. And underline lay at rest, which means resting. And Penny is the name of Jody's father. Dilated, underline dilated, which means enlarged. And a close shave means a narrow escape. Underline kept your head means stayed calm in a difficult situation. Jody's mind kept going back to the fawn, which was left alone in the forest. He, from the table, moved to his father. Penny, who was resting in his room, his eyes were open, but pupils were still enlarged to his views, as he was still under the effect of poison. Jody asked him that how he was feeling. Penny replied that he was fine. And he said, "Old Death has gone thriving elsewhere," which means narrow death has gone elsewhere from this place. And he said that he had a narrow escape. He was also proud of Jody's timely help in the forest, and he appreciated him for the same. "Pa, yes, son. Pa, do you recollect the doe and the fawn?" Recollect means remember. "I can never forget them. The poor doe saved me, that's certain. Pa, the fawn may be out there yet. It might be hungry and very scared." "I suppose so." "Pa, I'm a big boy now and don't need to drink milk. Why don't I go and see if I can find the fawn and bring it here and raise it?" Now Jody asks his father if he remembers the doe and the fawn. He agrees that he can never forget them because it was that doe which saved his life. Now Jody slowly expresses his feeling that he was much worried about the fawn because it could be hungry and scared all alone in jungle without its mother. So Jody suggests that now he is a big boy and he doesn't need to drink milk. He also asks the permission whether he can go to the forest and find the fawn to raise him up here in the house. This line, "I'm a big boy now and don't need to drink milk," shows that how generous and kind-hearted Jody was, and he was ready to give his share of food to raise up the fawn. Penny lay quiet, staring at the ceiling. Boy, you have got me hemmed in. Hemmed in, meaning in a situation where one can't say no. It won't take much to raise it, Pa. It'll soon start eating leaves in acorns. Acorns means small brown nuts. You are smarter than boys of your age. We took its mother and it wasn't to blame. Surely it seems ungrateful to leave it to starve. Son, I can't say no to you. I never thought I would live to see another day. Now underline staring in this paragraph and write looking continuously. Then you can underline ungrateful, which means unthankful. Now, hearing Jody's suggestion, Penny couldn't say no, but kept staring at the ceiling. He couldn't say no because Penny also felt that by killing the deer, he has rescued himself from the death, and what they have done was an injustice to the fawn. It was not Fawn's fault at all. So, why should it be starving in the forest? Penny also agrees to it and accepts the suggestion of Jody. Can I ride back with Millwheel and see if I can find it? Tell your ma I said you can go. He slided back to the table and sat down. His mother was pouring coffee for everyone. He said, Ma, Pa says I can go bring back the fawn. She held the coffee pot in the mid-air. What, fawn? The fawn belonging to the doe we killed. We used the doe's liver to draw out the poison and save Pa. She gasped. Well, for pity's sake. Pa says it would be ungrateful to leave it to starve. Doc Wilson said, That's right, ma'am. Nothing in the world comes quite free. The boy's right and his daddy's right. Underline slided back, which means walked back quietly, trying not to be noticed. And underline starve in this paragraph, which means hungry. Jody asks his father's permission that if he can go with Millwheel and find the fawn in the forest and bring it home. Jody quietly walked back to the table unnoticed and sits down and tells his mother that Pa has said to bring back the fawn. The mother was not aware of this fawn, so she asks him that what fawn? For that Jody replies that he wants to bring back the fawn whose mother was killed to save my father's life. Doc Wilson, who was sitting there, said that Jody and his father's decision to bring back the fawn home was right. And he also added that nothing in the world comes quite free, which means for anything in this world we have to give something back from our side. Millwheel said, He can ride back with me. I'll help him find it. She set down the pot helplessly. Well, if you'll give it your milk, we have got nothing else to feed it. Millwheel said, Come on, boy, we have got to get riding. Ma Baxter's asked anxiously, You'll not be gone long. Here, Ma Baxter's is Jody's mother. Jody said, I'll be back before dinner for sure. Millwheel mounted his horse and pulled Jody up behind him. Mounted means sat on. He said to Millwheel, Do you think the fawn's still there? Will you help me find him? We'll find him if he is alive. How you know it's he? Millville agreed to take Jody to the forest to find the fawn. Jody's mother was very anxious and little worried because she felt that only Jody would give his share of milk to the fawn and that they had nothing else to feed it. As they were very poor, she was worried. But Millville and Jody, without focusing on her worries, they set out on a horse towards the forest. Jody requested Millville to help him find the fawn. Millville replied that they will find him if the fawn is alive, and he also asks that how does he know whether the fawn is he or she, that is, the fawn is a male or a female. The spots were all in a line on a doe fawn. Pa says the spots are every which way. Here, doe fawn means female fawn. Jody said that the spots were all in a line on a male deer, and his father had told him that the spots are in different direction for a female deer. Jody gave himself over to thoughts of the fawn. They passed the abundant clearing. Abundant means lonely. He said, "Cut to the north, Millville. It was up here that Pa got bitten by the snake and killed the doe, and I saw the fawn." Suddenly, Jody was unwilling to have Millville with him. If the fawn was dead or could not be found, he could not have his disappointment seen. And if the fawn was there, the meeting would be so lovely and so secret that he could not endure to share it. You can underline give himself over to thoughts, which means started thinking. Underline unwilling, which means not wanting to. In the second part of the lesson, Jody and Millville have reached the forest. Now Jody started thinking about the fawn. He recognizes the place where Jody's father had killed the doe and left the fawn all alone. They reaches the spot. Suddenly, Jody did not want Millville to be with him because the first reason was if he is not going to find the fawn or if the fawn is dead, then he did not want Millville to see his disappointment, and also for the second reason that in case he found the fawn, then he felt that their meeting should be so lovely and so secret, which he did not want to share with Millville or anyone else. He said, "It's not far now, but the scrub is very thick for a horse. I can make it on foot. But I am afraid to leave you, boy. Suppose you got lost or got bitten by the snake too? I'll take care. It might take me a long time to find the fawn. If he's wandered, leave me off right here." "All right, but you take it easy now. You know north here and east. There and there. That tall pine makes a bearing. So long, Millville. I'm obliged." He waited for the sound of the hoofs to end, then cut to the right. The scrub was still. Only his own crackling of twigs sounded across the silence. He wondered for an instant if he had mistaken his direction. Underline scrub and write a small bush. Next one, on foot means walking. The next word is wandered, which means traveled aimlessly. Makes a bearing means acts as a compass and helps to identify direction. So long, underline so long, which means bye. Obliged, obliged means thankful. Underline hoofs, which are the horse feet. And the last one is twigs, which means small sticks of plants. Reaching the place, now Jody doesn't want Millwheel to be with him. He told him to leave him there because the bushes were so thick that the horse could not go ahead, and therefore they had to go on foot into the forest. But Millwheel was not ready to leave him alone in the forest. He was scared if Jody would be lost in the forest or bitten by the snake. But Jody was confident and he told him that he will take care, and he also told that he might take longer time to return if the fawn has wandered somewhere, but surely he will be back to home with the fawn. Millwheel agreed and showed him a tall pine to identify the direction, and he went away. After Millwheel was gone, Jody went into the bushes. There was silence all around, and when he walked, he heard the crackling of twigs, and he doubted whether he has taken the correct direction. Then a buzzard rose in front of him and flapped into the air. He came into the clearing under the oaks. Buzzards sat in a circle round the carcass of the doe. They turned their heads on their long, scrawny necks and hissed at him. He threw his bow at them, and they flew into an adjacent tree. The sand showed large cat prints, but the big cats killed fresh, and they had left the doe to the carrion birds. Now, in this paragraph, you can underline buzzard, which is a large bird like vulture which eats flesh of dead animals. Clearing, underline clearing, it is an open area. Underline oaks. Oaks is a kind of large tree. Carcass, which means a dead body of animal. Scrawny means thin. Hissed. Hissed is the sound made by buzzards. Bough. Bough is a branch of a tree. And adjacent, which means nearby. And carrion birds are the birds that eat flesh. Now, when entered the bushes, Jody came to an open area where doe's dead body was surrounded by buzzards. These are the big birds like vultures that eat flesh. When the bird felt the presence of Jody there, they turned their neck towards him and hissed at him. As Jody was a brave boy, he threw a branch on them, which made all the birds fly to the nearby tree. Then he saw large cat prints on the ground, but he recollects that the big cat killed fresh, and they have left the doe to the carrion birds to eat it. He parted the grass at the place where he had seen the fawn. It did not seem possible that it was only yesterday. The fawn was not there. He circled the clearing. There was no sound, no sign. The buzzards clacked their wings, impatient to return to their business. He returned to the spot where the fawn had emerged and dropped on all fours, studying the sand for the small hoof prints. The night's rain had washed away all tracks except those of cats and buzzards. Jody started searching for the fawn in the bushes by moving or pushing the bushes aside. He checks if he could see the fawn possibly. But fawn was not found there. No sound, no sign of fawn, even its footprints. And the buzzards, which were sitting on the tree, they had become impatient now with the presence of Jody because they could not do their business. That is, they were not able to eat the flesh of doe in the presence of Jody. Jody returned to the spot where he had seen Fawn and, down with his knees and palms, tries to search for the footprints of the fawn. But there were no footprints because the night's rain had washed away everything. But he could see the cat and buzzard's footprints there. What do you think, children? Will Jody get the fawn or will he wander in the forest? We'll see what will happen in the next video. Till then, take care.